I love these gators like I do my child. I really do. And I also joke with her. I say, when I die, which when you work with gators could be any day now, when I die, I'm like, you are going to get inherited a bunch of Star Wars figures, X-Men comics, and a whole bunch of alligators.
Hey everybody, this is Kyle Sasser with Great Things Tampa Bay, and this is episode 35. This episode was pretty exciting to record. I got to tell you, I've been a long time native to the Tampa Bay area, and on this episode, you're going to hear me getting closer to an alligator than I have ever been before. So we're interviewing the Gator Crusader. So let's get into it. This is Kyle Sasser here with the Great Things Tampa Bay. And I'm here with a bit of a character, and we are at the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary up in Palm Harbor, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. And I'm going to give you a chance to let you introduce yourself.
Hey, my name is Michael Womer, but most people call me the Gator Crusader. I love alligators, and I basically have kind of dedicated my entire life crusading around, trying to get other people to like them, love them. Sometimes I do really outrageous things with alligators, and people say, why do you do that? Kind of look down on that. But my whole goal is, if you see something I do with a gator, if you like a gator even 1% more than before I started, then I did my job. My whole goal is to get you to like, maybe even love alligators.
So what you're saying is, do you like to be called like gator wrestlers, gator wranglers?
I used to like the gator wrestling term, but now it has kind of a negative connotation, so I go more with gator trainer, because I used to actually do the jumping on the back and the prying the mouth open, and I never really liked the fact that you were, kind of constraining the animal. Mm-hmm. So I've moved from sitting on their back to just doing training. And it's funny, back when we used to do the gator wrestling, I would get bit all the time, because, we're jumping on the animal, prying his mouth open. They're like, leave me alone. Since I have switched and kind of said, I don't want to do wrestling anymore, I just want to train them, I do, quote, more dangerous things. Like, I'll actually put a hot dog in my mouth and let a gator bite it out from my lips. I'll swim in the water. But since I've stopped wrestling, I actually haven't even gotten bit. I say that now, wait till the end of the day, but...
Yeah, we still got a few hours of daylight here.
So far, so good.
All right, so we are here at the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary. So we're here at the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary, and here with the Gator Crusader, and your name is...
My name is Michael Womer. A lot of people have trouble with the Womer part. Think of just the word Homer, but put a W instead. In fact, here's a fun fact. My name was almost Homer Gomer Womer.
That's pretty good.
Which would have actually fit my personality a little bit better. Like, my mom always says, I'm so glad I didn't name you that. And I always say, Mom, that would have fit my character so much better. So
yeah, you definitely seem like a serious individual, like banker type,
Yeah, exactly. Somebody once said, you're kind of like Ace Ventura come to life, because they're like, most animal people are very serious about, here is the epiglottical valve and blah, 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 and they're like, you take it more the comedy way. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, that's more my personality. So I feel like if I can make the animals more fun, I might be able to reach some more people that normally wouldn't want to watch something boring about animals.
All right, so tell us a little bit about the sanctuary here, how long it's been here, and what the mission is, and all that good stuff.
Okay, cool. We are at the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary. It's on alternate 19 in Palm Harbor, Florida. A lot of people don't realize it's there. They don't have a lot of signage. They take most of the money to take care of the animals, so they don't really put a lot of money into advertising and signage. They'd rather use it to care for the cool critters here. But it's been around for 75 years. They take in animals that have no other place to go. Like, sometimes there'll be an animal in a pack at a zoo. The pack decides to reject a certain animal. The zoo doesn't know what to do, so they bring it here. Somebody has a pet chimp. They think it's cool. They think it's fun until it starts flinging poo all around the house and trying to bite them. Then they're like, we don't want this thing. A lot of animals that were used in medical research that were going to be killed. Most of the gators here were from a farm where they were going to be killed. So almost every animal has been saved from death. So it is a sanctuary where they protect and take care of animals, save their lives.
Yep. And like looking around here, so we're standing here by the alligator pen, and there's
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 alligators staring at you intently.
Yes, yes, they actually do recognize my voice. They're like, oh, that's the guy that feeds me. And that's what does make an alligator so dangerous. Once they're fed, they just associate you with food. And so they're like, oh, the food guy's here.
Yep. And looking around, I see monkeys. What's the guy with the red ass over there?
Baboon. We have a baboon. We've got a big orangutan, like, Jungle Book. The guy like, woo, woo, woo. I want to be like you. Louis, King Louis. It's funny because a lot of times when I say orangutan, people are like, huh? But then when I say the thing from the Jungle Book, everyone's like, oh, okay, now I get it.
Like, I love that guy.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
So we've got those guys. We have a lot of different types of birds. We've got a couple tortoises. There's even a few goats, a lot of macaques, which are smaller little primates. So it's mostly primates and alligators. Those are kind of the two main things.
And if you just told me that if you're riding the Pinellas Trail and you're hearing a lot of monkeys screaming and
Yes.
doing monkey things, this is the place.
Yes, exactly. If you our property backs up right onto the Pinellas Trail, but there's a lot of trees, so you can't really see the chimps. So it is very conceivable you to be having a nice little bike ride, la 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 la, and all of a sudden from the trees you hear chimps screaming, orangutans calling, and I can always just imagine you'd be like, what in the heck is that?
Yep. And you might be hearing the wildlife in the background. It's just part of the charm of Great Things Tampa Bay.
There you go, exactly. What could be greater than doing a podcast in the jungle with chimps all around?
Exactly. It's awesome. So this isn't your first gator rodeo, as it was. You do have some experience in the arena.
Exactly. I've been technically working with alligators professionally for 26 years. So over a quarter of a century working with alligators. That makes me sound so old. It's so funny, but yeah, I've been doing it for 26 years. I've worked at a lot of zoos. I've worked at alligator parks. I've owned my own alligator company, and now I'm at the sanctuary because I really like what they do of, saving the animals, protecting them, and my hope is, the longer I'm here, the more when family and friends visit Tampa Bay or Pinellas County in particular, and they say, where can you see alligators? You can say, hey, go to the sanctuary. They got orangutans, they got chimps, they got a crazy guy in a gator pen. So my hope is to bring a little more awareness, a little more donations to this place, so that way we're taking care of all the animals better.
Yeah. But like you said, you're not doing the old school wrestling stuff with these.
Right, exactly. I'm kind of against the gator wrestling. I don't like jumping on the back. I don't like prying their jaws open. I love alligators. These are truly like my kids. In fact, I have a 20-year-old daughter, and I tell her she's the quote only child, but I tell her all the time, I'm like, nah, you got like 10 stepbrothers and sisters. They're just alligators, because I love these gators like I do my child. I really do. And I also joke with her. I say, when I die, which when you work with gators could be any day now, when I die, I'm like, you are going to get inherited a bunch of Star Wars figures, X-Men comics, and a whole bunch of alligators. I don't going to get much money, but you'll have the Star Wars figures and alligators.
And you said that she's training underneath you, right?
Yes, just like Bindi Irwin kind of learned from her dad, the crocodile hunter. Everybody's familiar with the crocodile hunter. She's kind of like, a lot of people call me the American version of the crocodile hunter. So I have my own Bindi. She's 20 years old, though. I didn't want to get her in the gator pen when she was real young, just for one, safety reasons, two, public perception. You don't want to even get into that. So I've waited. She's 20 years old now, and now I've started to let her get in the gator pen. But the thing is, I'm in a battle because part of me is overprotective dad. I'm like, don't get any closer. And she's, way at the 20 feet away from the gators, and she's like, Dad, how am I supposed to learn anything if I don't get a little closer? So part of me wants to let her be a part of the family business. Part of me is overprotective dad and won't let me get anywhere, because I have been bitten before. I know how terribly bad it hurts.
All right. Yeah. So let's get into the nitty gritty a little bit, because everyone has downloaded this for the blood and gore, I'm sure.
Of course, yeah. It's like a race. You know, you're watching to see the accident and the explosion.
Yep. So you have been bitten.
Yes, I have been bitten quite a few times in the past. Like I said, we used to do, I know there's a podcast, so you can't tell. I probably sound tall and brave and muscular. And I am single, by the way. But I'm actually extremely short and really small. So when I first got started, I'm 18 years old. I'm only 5'2", 5'3". I was like 100 pounds. The alligators were larger than me. They weighed more than me. So in the beginning, when I was first learning, I actually got bit a lot. But I was so passionate about alligators, I was willing to keep going. Most people that work with gators, they get bit once. A lot of them, they're done then. A couple of them might get bit 2 or 3 times. Usually after that, people are like, okay, I'll find another line of work. But
okay, so do we know what the tally is?
the tally of bites, I lost count around 8 or so. I mean, it's honestly kind of embarrassing because bites in the gator world, though they make good interviews, they're actually your mistakes. You know, it would be like asking a pilot, so how many times have you crashed a plane? You know, if you crashed more than 2 times, you kind of don't want to admit it. You want to be like, no, I'm a good, safe pilot. But I will say, when I first started, I was a lot skinnier. My strength wasn't very good. And we used to do, like I said, the gator wrestling where you jump on the back. And the gators, of course, didn't like you when they did that. Now my life is all about building a bond with them. I'll come in here, I'll read comic books, we'll watch movies together, I'll sing songs. And I know, you know, it's not like the alligators are like, Deadpool was a very excellent film. I enjoyed the comedy. They don't really know, but what they're learning is the guy came in here, he didn't hurt us, he didn't bother us, we just watched this show and then he left. It's a way of building a bond.
So who's the alligator's favorite villain?
The Gator's favorite villain? Oh, right now they're probably going with Thanos because he seems to be the only villain that's actually won. And with alligators being kind of looked at as villains themselves, they're like, oh yeah, bad guy wins.
I would have figured the lizard, but you know.
Yeah, that's true. But they like the winners.
Sorry, I'm a bit of a comic nerd myself, so.
Well, a lot of the alligators, I've got a gator named Thor. I've got a gator named Chewie after Chewbacca. I had one named Hulk, but then I wanted to start printing shirts like Team Thor, Team Hulk, and I realized, I could get in trouble. Right. Thor is actually public domain, but but Hulk isn't. So they used to all have comic names, but they kind of had to get scaled back a little bit.
Sorry, no, there's definitely intellectual property laws in the alligator world.
Yes, yeah. So it's funny. I actually have to think of what would make a good T-shirt when I work with my alligators. But I've got one named Fiddlesticks. I have not seen a Marvel character named Fiddlesticks yet, so I think we're okay.
It might have been one in the 70s.
That's true. That does.
There was some weird shit in the 70s in comic books.
Weird things, definitely.
So cool. So what's your favorite thing about alligators? Like what's the draw for you?
The draw for me is, I guess when I was a kid, I of course liked dinosaurs. And I remember, like 3-4 years old, I was devastated to find out, oh shoot, dinosaurs aren't in existence. I can't go see them. But I remember even as a young kid, my mom said, there's alligators. They're pretty close to dinosaurs. She took me to a zoo to see them. And to me, it was like I was always a big fan of old original Star Trek where, Captain Kirk battled the big lizard monster. And I remember that's what I thought. I'm like, Mom, this is like what Captain Kirk battled. And to me, it was like seeing a cool monster come to life. Mm-hmm. And I guess that was the original appeal, that it's like a dinosaur, a monster. And, I guess I'm still a big kid, so I kind of like the fact that I can deal with a monster one-on-one and still in one piece.
That's good. Although bitten a few times.
Yes, I got a few scars. But
all right, well, let's do some alligator trivia here.
Okay.
You can kind of educate the masses here.
Gotcha.
So, the one that everyone knows or thinks they know is that if you run in a zigzag pattern,
right,
that you can outrun an alligator in that manner. True or false?
I would say, that's a tough one because what do you call Mythbusters even did this. Mm-hmm. I would say false because you can run straight ahead. If you do, what Mythbusters actually found out is as long as you're 10 to 20 feet away from a gator, you're going to survive either way, whether you run zigzag or whether you run straight forward. Because what an alligator does is they are ambush predators. They wait for something to come close and they jump out and grab them. Usually after the first 3 or 4 steps, if they don't get what they're trying to ambush, they're going to slink back in the water and wait to ambush something else. So, and like I said, Mythbusters even did where they did zigzag and ran away. And basically what they found was as long as they don't get you on that initial ambush, you're going to be okay either way.
All right, good.
Now, to me personally, if you're doing zigzag, you're wasting your time and you're looking sillier. But
You're pulling a Benny Hill.
yeah, you don't really need to do all that crazy stuff.
All right, so we're here by the pen. Over here to the right here, there's a mock alligator nest.
Exactly.
So do alligators protect their nests at all, or do they just lay and leave?
Oh, good question. Alligators fiercely protect their nest, which is crazy because alligators have this reputation of being so scary and mean and evil, but the moms are crazy loving and gentle with their babies. And we are getting right into nesting season right about now. So usually what you'll find is a big mound, maybe 2 feet high, of sticks, leaves, mud. They use their hind legs, make a big old muddy mound, lay the eggs in it, and then they'll stay by the water and they'll watch that mound fiercely. A lot of mom alligators will actually not even eat. They just stay by the nest, and if anything goes near it, be it a raccoon, a bird, a human, they will fight for their life for their babies.
So definitely, if you see like a little pile of dirt and sticks and twigs near water, turn around, go the other way.
Leave it alone as quick as you can.
So that means the mating season was a few months ago, right?
Exactly. Mating season is usually the end of April through most of May, maybe the first week of June or so. But
I got to ask you, how's your alligator mating impression?
the bellow. I can't do a bellow very well. If you don't know what a bellow is, to impress a female, a male alligator will do this. Oh.
They're looking at you.
Yeah, they're like, whoa, is it time? They're getting all, oh.
They're getting frisky.
I turned them on a little bit too much with that.
Yep, they have been motionless for the 10 minutes we've been sitting here, but
Yeah,
they were like, hey.
Yeah, they heard that bellow and they're like, bow, chicka, bow, wow, no, Gators. No, not in front of, we got guests here.
Keep it in check over there.
Yeah, gosh. But that was a semi-impression. It sounds more like a outboard motor starting up, maybe a motorcycle in the distance. And generally the way it works with alligators is whoever kind of has the deeper voice is the female is more impressed with. Like how when guys walk by a girl, they're always puffing out their chest, kind of flexing their muscle. Then the next guy that walks by the girl tries to puff his chest out even more.
And they come in with the hey, baby.
Yeah, the hey, how you doing? That's the hey, how you doing is what the bellow is. A gator tries to roar really low, and then another alligator's like, but I can roar even deeper. And so they try to out-roar each other.
And so they mate and they build a nest.
They build a nest.
Is eggs, right?
Yeah, eggs, exactly, eggs. And what's kind of interesting, I know I don't like to get into too much scientific talk. Like I said, I like to kind of fancy myself as more the comedian of the gator world, but every once in a while I got to get into a little fun fact here. You got
to flex, Yeah,
you might be on Jeopardy one day. If you win, I just only ask for 10% of the earnings. Alligator eggs, the sex is determined by the temperature of the nest. So like when she lays the eggs, they're not really determined whether they're male or female. If it's, a lower degree temperature, like 88 degrees, it'll be mostly females. If it's a higher degree, it'll be mostly males. If she can get it right in the middle, like right on the 90 to 91 degrees, then you'll have a little mixture of both. So
very cool. So below boy band temperature.
Exactly. Right. There you go.
All right, and then over here we got some babies. How old are these guys?
These guys are almost a year old. They'll be a year in September.
So not so babyish anymore.
Not so babyish. They're still pretty small. They still get the aw. So as long as you got the aw factor, they're still pretty cute.
Yeah. And how long does it take for them to reach maturity?
Man, usually a gator grows about a foot a year for about the first 8 years or so. It's, it goes up and down, depends on how much they eat. And usually when they're about 8 feet long, that's when they can produce eggs, so they're considered, quote, mature. But they can keep growing. A big alligator can get to be 12 feet long, maybe even a little larger.
Well, so what's the largest one you're comfortable dealing with?
I have actually dealt with a gator that was close to 13 feet long. There was a zoo that wanted to refurbish their gator pen, and they asked if me and a few of my friends, because they've heard, because I've been working with gators a while, they heard about me. They asked, can we keep the gator for them? So we built a little temporary pen. They didn't tell us how big the gator was, so we go down thinking
Left that detail off.
Yeah. We go down thinking it's maybe 6-7 foot gator, and this is the biggest gator I've ever seen. It's like the Shaquille O'Neal of gators, and you're expecting the teenager. So we're like, whoa, we would have brought 5 more people if we knew it was this size.
How much, what's the weight we're talking about on that size?
Weight on that guy's probably 600 to 800 pounds.
Of writhing, not very cooperative reptile.
Right. That's what I always like to tell people, because I've worked with big gators and I'm like, he's almost 200 pounds. And people look at me like, whoop-de dude, 200 pounds. And I'm like, yeah, but it's not 200 pounds of a dead weight lift. It's 200 pounds of something that's thrashing and biting and chomping.
And there was a recent video where the cop was helping load it into the back, and this not very large alligator just knocked him out.
Yes, a lot of people don't realize that, because once the tape is on their mouth, people think, oh, they're safe now. Alligators' heads are crazy, extremely hard. I have seen people with baby gators at zoos get black eyes when the head hits them in the face. I've seen somebody get their tooth knocked out. So even a, quote, harmless gator's still got to be careful with them.
Yep. And so we got 6 guys in here. What's their story? How big are we talking?
Okay. A few of these alligators were people's pets, and they didn't know what to do when they got big. And because they were born in captivity, you can't just release them in the wild. Obviously, they'd be chasing people around. So they either
Wait, let's back up. So is it legal to have a gator as a pet in Florida?
It used to be if you had a permit. Now it's a lot harder. I mean, way back in the 60s and 70s, you used to be able to buy them without anything. You could come down to Florida, bring one back in a shoebox.
Yeah, it was bedlam back in the 60s in Florida.
You could do anything back then. Literally, you could come back with a pet alligator.
Yeah, jump on a manatee. It's all good, whatever.
Yeah. Ride around a bald eagle and whatever. But now you have to have a permit. And sometimes people do have a permit and then they still just get too big. Sometimes people just illegally keep them as a pet. And then when it gets bigger than their bathtub, they'll call a place like this and be like, hey, we got a gator. And so we'll take them in. Some of them were at a gator farm. The babies were actually at an alligator farm. They were considered runts, too small. And I hate it. But I get it from a farmer's point of view. The farmer's like, I'm not going to get my money out of it, what I'm putting into it. So they were just going to kill them. And of course, they're like, I don't want that. So we saved their lives. So.
And when you say gator farm, are they actually farming for meat or?
Yeah. Just I always say, it's kind of funny, in other places, just like people are pig farmers, some people are cow farmers. In Florida, you have people who wake up in the morning, go out into their backyard and feed their alligators and harvest them for wallets, handbags, meat at restaurants. And, people always ask what my opinion is of that. Like I said, I love my alligators like my kids. So it would be like having children nuggets, So I'm not a huge fan, but I also understand there's a place for the farms, because since they're farmed, it keeps people from poaching gators in the wild. So.
Yeah. And they were endangered for a while, right?
True. Yes, they were endangered. Once again, back in the 70s, when things were crazy, you could just go out in your backyard and say, I'm going to shoot me some alligator. Now you obviously can't do that. They're one of the only animals that have gone from being on the endangered list to now there's so many gators that they actually have licensed and permitted hunts to kind of thin the herd. And we're talking, that's only within a 40-year period, it went from we may not even have these to, oh my gosh, there's too many.
Yeah. And like I meet a lot of people from up north. They're like, hey, where can I go to see a gator? And I'm like, pick almost any pond or body of water. There's
Yes.
probably one there.
Right, yeah. It's like, look at a body of water. And a lot of times if you go to the water and make a gator call, I can't do the bellow very good, but I can actually do the little grunt. It's like, the birds are competing with me.
No, that's pretty good. I heard the babies doing that earlier
Yeah,
today.
so if you can kind of make a sound like that, it sounds like unk, unk, unk from the back of your throat. You'll see the gators pop up. So, and even if you don't see a gator in a lake, chances are it's there.
So speaking of gators and lakes,
Right.
when I was a child, we used to go camping over in Auburndale.
Right.
This place called Lake Arbuckle.
Okay.
And this is a quiz for you.
Right.
So there's a campground there, and they used to have a little. This is like early '80s, like '83, '84, '85. So it was kind of crazy times. So they had the swimming area roped off, and there'd be gators going across back and forth into the cypress trees, out of the cypress trees, all that stuff. Behind the campground was a bombing range where the Navy planes would come and drop bombs during the night.
Right.
Which one of those should I have been more concerned about?
More worried about humans with bombs or alligators? I always say if it's a choice between human or animal, humans are always the most dangerous. Truly. We are by far the most destructive. There's a chance of getting hurt by the gators, but also, when you guys were jumping in the water, you're probably yelling, screaming, cannonballing, and most alligators are going to be like, well, that looks like a lot of work to catch and eat. I think, because you have to think, in the alligator's thought pattern, he's like, I might get hurt if I try to catch that thing. He's like doing flips and screaming and throwing stuff. So, the gator's more than likely going to be smart enough to say, let's leave that alone.
All right. And so that's a good answer. I like it. So, because we were not worried at all about the alligators. Other question is, so Great Things Tampa Bay, we put together like outdoor events and stuff like that.
Right.
We canoe down the Hillsborough River.
Right.
There is a ton of alligators there.
There's some big ones. Yes. Really big ones.
So 2 questions. 1, should people be worried? And 2, what exactly is a gator doing whenever he goes down on one side of your canoe and comes up on the other side?
Okay, good questions. Should you be worried? I would say mostly no. I don't want to play it off like, there's nothing to worry about. A gator will never hurt you. I mean, I'm not that stupid. They do occasionally attack. That's kind of like saying there are accidents on 19. Should I never drive on it? No, I mean, just be careful. I say the same thing. There are alligators there. There is a small chance they could attack, mostly if they've been fed by someone else. Because once you feed a gator, they just think humans equal food. It's like the old cartoon where, someone's stranded on a boat and they see their buddy, but in their little mind bubble, they don't see their buddy. It looks like a big steak in their mind. That's how, once you feed a gator, all of a sudden when they see a human, little mind bubble pops up and it's just like food.
So they're kind of like a cat in that regard.
Yes, yeah, exactly. My daughter says all the time, she's like, Dad, gators are, she's got this whole long proposition on how alligators are more like cats than dinosaurs. And like, she just thinks they're exactly like cats. So, I mean, if they've been fed by someone else, they could come up to you expecting food. But most of the time, once again, when you're in a canoe, you're in this big, long thing. You got paddles, which look like weapons. The alligator more than likely is going to say, I don't even know what that is, but I don't think that would be a tasty meal. I think I would get hurt if I go after that. So a lot of times when they're swimming underneath the canoe, they're just trying to get away. They're like, I'm getting out of here. There's some big looking scary monster thing. So they're just trying to get away from you.
And usually making like very unnatural noises. Like
exactly. Well, it's like if you got scared in the middle of the night and you just started running, your feet would be slipping and you'd be, the bigger the noise it makes, the more you startled it. And it's like, get out of the way, I'm scared. So, but when a gator's coming at you, you don't think of it as a funny, slippery animal that's slipping and sliding. You think, oh, he was attacking, when most of the time he's just trying to run.
All right, that's good. Is there any other gator stuff I missed?
Oh, there's how long do you want to talk? Like I said, I've been working with alligators 26 years. I could tell you stories about alligators forever. I got interested in gators when I was like 7 years old. I am local, by the way, so I was born and raised in the Tampa Bay area. For most of my birthdays, I would go to Boyd Hill Nature Park, and I would bring all my friends with me, and I would make them try to call up alligators. That was my birthday party.
I'm sure you were a hit.
Yeah. Usually I get my mom to make me a Hulk Hogan birthday cake, so we would always have the Hulk cake, and that was always a big hit because she would make chocolate chip nipples on the Hulk Hogan, so everybody every year couldn't wait to see the Hulk Hogan cake, and then I would force them all to go to Boyd Hill Nature Trail for like hours looking for alligators. And for some reason, year after year, I had less people coming to my party.
Yeah, can't imagine why. Can't imagine why.
Then my other friend remembers, he was like, he said he invited me to his house for a spend the night party. About 10 years old, I come over with a giant suitcase, and he's thinking to himself, how many days is this guy thinking he's spending the night? Well, I open up the suitcase. I didn't bring a single pair of clothes. I didn't bring a toothbrush. I didn't bring deodorant. What I filled it with was a million rubber alligators. And I spent the whole night explaining to him how when I own my own alligator park, I'm gonna have the big ones over here, and I just took out all my gators and did basically a diorama of my own alligator park. And he's like, that's what our spend the night party was. He's like, you didn't bring a single pair of clothes, you just brought alligators.
I think that's the living definition of living the dream. I mean,
Yes.
You're living your dream. That's awesome.
And that's
I
true.
love it.
That's what I do now.
Yep. So how can people find you, follow you? So we are going to do some alligator stuff here in a minute.
Heck yeah.
But
We're gonna try to go in the gator pen, so this can be the first podcast ever to be done from inside an alligator pen.
I wanted to get this out of the way just in case I don't make it out. So, the SD card is here.
Yes, that's true. My daughter's here. If we don't survive, at least grab the recorder and get the SD card.
Just upload it. There's instructions.
It'll be like one of those found footage movies or something. This was the last recording.
That's right. The greatest thing in Tampa Bay was the last.
Yes. Yeah, we saved the best for last. This is the end.
So how can people find you? How can they follow you?
Cool. Okay. If you go to social media, look for the Gator Crusader on basically everything. Instagram, the Gator Crusader, Facebook, the Gator Crusader. YouTube is my big specialty. That's where you can see the best videos. Like I said, I've got a video where I had a giant 12-foot gator. I put my arm inside his mouth and sent a text from inside the gator's mouth.
Wait, what did the gator's mouth say?
It actually had really good reception, which was interesting. I guess because of the echo chamber of the jaws. But yeah, I sent a text from inside the mouth. I put a hot dog in my mouth and let an alligator bite it out from between my lips. I've got other videos coming that are even more dangerous than that. So I celebrate all of my holidays with gators. Like for Valentine's Day, I bought the gators big giant card, balloons, and then I took a candy box. I took all the chocolate out and filled it with like steak. So it was like steak sampler, and I gave it to them all. So yeah, if you go to my YouTube, you'll see crazy stuff. Definitely subscribe. So the YouTube is the thing I'm really pushing right now.
All right, so check it out on YouTube. It'll be in the show notes. Before we get in here, give me the nitty gritty for what I need to be on the lookout here. Like how hard can they bite? How bad are the claws? How strong is the tail?
Okay, I usually don't tell that to people until after we survive it, because if you know going in, it makes it a little more scary. But the alligators this size we're working with, they have jaw closing power equal to a lion, maybe a little bit greater. So if you do happen to get bit by one of these guys, it is as if you are getting bit by a lion. Plus, these guys do the death roll where they spin and roll and rip and tear. So I would say stay behind me.
Good plan.
I'm going to leave the gate open.
Thank you.
And if I say go, don't question, don't ask, just run for the gate and go out.
All right, I can do that.
But yeah, I think we'll be okay for the most part. Let me get a little bit of food for these
And
guys.
I'm not going to ask if you all have insurance for this or not.
Sure.
So what sort of food do the alligators eat here?
They'll eat any kind of meat. Today we've got chicken hearts.
I see that you're actually putting the meat into something that's attached to you.
Yeah, I've got a little trainer pouch here. because I don't know if anybody's watched the old Jurassic Park movies. You know how Chris Pratt trains the raptors with a little clicker?
Mm-hmm.
I actually truly trained my gators with a clicker, and I did it before him. I didn't steal it. I think he stole it from me. Like all of my friends, because before the movie came out, I'd never seen anybody do that. And all of my friends are like, somebody saw you doing it and included it in the movie. All right, let me get Chewy out of your way.
Like it's a trick of the trade.
Chewy, turn. Chewy, closer. All right, you can come in now. Closer. All the alligators here have names. Head up. They do know their names. Head up. Good boy. And right now I'm trying to just teach them, good job, thank you, basic alligator behaviors, like to come on command, holding and stopping on command. It's really easy to get a gator to chase you on command. The holding and stopping, that's pretty tough.
And just to set the picture here, so we're actually inside the cage here now.
Bae, can you get a picture where you can see him and the gators? Okay, just get a couple, doesn't hurt to have too many. Yeah, so right now we are doing a podcast from inside the dragon's lair. Get your head up.
And I'm literally probably, what is that, like 3 feet from the tail of this alligator?
Woo-hoo. Shoot, this is on a podcast. No one knows. He's not 3 feet away. He is literally 2 inches away from a snapping gator.
Uh-oh. So what was this alligator's name?
This is Chewy.
So Chewy just turned around from the corner and is coming back this direction.
He's like, they're talking about me.
He's trying to be a star.
You watching?
So I have moved a few feet from the door. I'm definitely feeling a little bit more at risk right now.
Water. Come on, buddy. Water. Good boy. All right, so now you can keep your eye on Chewy. He can get good audio, because I know Elizabeth will hiss. Head up. Head up. Good job. Thank you. Good hiss. Can you give a little... Rocky. They're showing off. They see that microphone. They're like, I'm going to make all kinds of sounds. Head up. Come on. I don't know if it comes out, but can you hear that pop of the jaws? Yeah, you definitely don't want your arm stuck in there.
So usually I am the guy that's like, alligators, you don't have anything to worry about. Currently...
Well, you're literally a foot away from a gator with his mouth open. Thor, come here. Thor, head up, head up. Good job. Closer, closer. Ooh, there you go. A lot of times after eating, Thor does that. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if that's his way of saying thank you for the food or more? Give me more. I haven't determined yet.
That's probably both.
That's what I'm saying. That was delicious, but I definitely want some more.
So I've always wondered, because their mouth, whenever they open it, it looks a little like fleshy and strange, I guess. You know, like there's not an obvious like hole.
Right. Okay. So if you see an alligator in the back of the throat, they have a flap of skin that they can open and shut. That way they can open their mouth underwater. And if they just had an open throat, they would drown.
Yeah.
So they can close the flap, open their mouth underwater. When they eat, they undo the flap and it slides down. Yeah. So it doesn't look like they've even got a throat. They do. It's just a little flap of skin.
Okay. And do they have like tongues at all, or?
They do have a tongue. See if Chewy, come here. We're gonna show the tongue. Head up. Head up. See this right there?
Yeah. Okay.
They do have a tongue. It's just fixed to the bottom of their mouth. See that? I'm kind of wiggling it around.
Yeah, I see.
So they do have a tongue, but it's fixed to their mouth, because you know they've got to be able to flip food back, and they have to have taste buds, so they have to actually have a tongue. But when an alligator slams his jaw shut, they do it involuntarily. They're not thinking about it. Like if a raindrop hit his mouth, or if a bug were to fly in it, he would slam his jaw shut without even thinking. Yeah. So because if he was he's an ambush predator, exactly. Right? So if he was like a dog and was just have his tongue out, and all of a sudden a raindrop hit it, he would actually bite his own tongue off. So
not a good look.
Yeah, nobody wants that. So they have a tongue, but it's fixed to the bottom of their mouth. Right, Elizabeth? Come here. Can you give us a nice sound? Give us a nice sound. Ready? There you go. That was the sound I was looking for. Closer. I want you right here. Closer. People truly cannot tell on this podcast how close you are, but you are very, very, very close. I mean, I'm in front of you.
Yeah. Which I
So,
appreciate.
yeah, and truly, if a gator would dive at you, I would jump in front of the gator to protect you, because this is my job. You're just here, and you are my guest. So I would protect you, but at the same time, it's scary being this close. There you go. Isn't that crazy? Elizabeth is the alpha of the pen. So before I came in here, she was the one telling everybody, go in the water, go here. Now all of a sudden I come walking in here and I'm like, get in the water, do this. So she's a little grumpy with me. And plus, when I leave, she has to go back to being the alpha.
Yeah.
So if you notice, usually when I feed her, she hisses afterwards, because that's a way for her to save face with the other gators. Because if she just blindly obeyed everything I did, the other gators would be like, oh, Elizabeth ain't tough. She did everything that guy said.
Like, we ain't listening to you.
Yeah, so if she hisses afterwards, it's kind of her way of saying, I did it, but I didn't want to. So I figure, you know.
She's a little bitchy.
Yeah, she's got a safe face. I'll let her do it.
They're like, are you kidding?
They're like, yeah, who isn't? Especially in the summertime, these guys could eat they're cold-blooded, so, you know. They're like, you know, you can feed a fish to the point they die during.
How much, so that's the monkeys going after the sirens.
Yeah, whenever they hear the sirens, I don't know if they know what it is, but man, they go crazy for that.
So how much do they usually eat a day?
A lot depends on the time of year. Like, you know, November, December, a lot of times they won't eat at all. If you ever see a gator like on Discovery Channel or something, they eat the big wildebeest or a big deer. Technically, a gator could go 1 year on one meal. Now,
Holy crap.
they wouldn't want to, but, you know, they could go that long. So I tend to feed them a little bit more than that, obviously. Chewy, come on.
So it's basically what I try to do at the local barbecue place.
Exactly, yeah. It's like the all-you-can-eat buffet. They try to get as much as they can.
So Chewy just took a few steps toward me, and he jumped in the middle and corralled him over back into the corner.
Good, thank you for listening.
So how much does Chewy weigh?
Chewy's probably about 100 to 200 pounds or so.
And how old would he be?
This guy's probably about 7 or 8 years old. Can you scoot back for me? I'll get you some food, but you gotta scoot. You gotta scoot. Go. Go. All right, I'll get you some food. That was a little bit of a close call.
So how long have you been doing this?
Since I was born. He's been doing it for 26 years. I'm 20, so
There you go.
there you go.
Chewy's coming back. It's like, oh, Dad's not in the pen. I could be bad.
He knows there's some food.
You can always tell it's a close call when I get quiet, because if you know, my daughter always says, Dad, he talks nonstop. But if it's a close call, he's actually quiet for about 5 whole seconds.
Focus.
Yeah.
So what's the alligator's favorite spot to be rubbed?
They kind of like it under the chin. I've actually had a few alligators. It took me a while to get them used to me enough. We had to watch a lot of Deadpool, a lot of Star Wars to get this point. But I had a few that I could actually go up behind and massage their neck. And I can feel their body just totally relax. But it's almost like a cat, once again. If a cat will sit still and let you pet them, a lot of times they stop purring. They're like, oh, this was great. But it takes a lot of bonding to let a cat do that. Same thing with the gators.
Not recommended to do that with ones you find at Hillsborough River.
No, gators or cats found at Hillsborough River. Don't try it with either.
It's true.
Ready? Ready, guys? Thor, you ready? You can't bite my hand off on a podcast because no one's going to see it. You got to save that for the YouTube stuff.
Well, just be sure it makes it to Animal Planet, right?
Yeah, that's right. It was funny, after we were offered like thousands of dollars for a bite, Animal Planet's like, if you could catch a bite, we'll give you so much money. I remember my friend and I actually sat at a restaurant and for about 45 minutes tried to think of areas we could let the gator bite us so we could cash in. But every single place we thought of, you know, because we've worked with gators enough, we would think of the worst scenario. I'm like, what if I let him get my thigh, because my thigh's big and fat and meaty? And he's like, yeah, but what if he hits an artery and you're dead? And then I'm like, what about my butt? And they're like, yeah, but what if he spins and rolls it off? Then you've only got half a butt for the rest of your life. So,
That's a problem.
yeah, so we couldn't come up with anything that we figured would be worth the money.
So they seem to be all right with like other alligators climbing all over them. Is that like a normal thing, or?
A wild alligator would not be quite that okay. But these alligators have been pen mates most of their life, so they end up becoming pretty social to the fact that they'll lay, if you've ever been to zoos and stuff, you'll see them, they'll lay on top of each other. That one just put his paw straight in the other gator's mouth.
Yeah.
And if you notice, Elizabeth, she didn't even try to bite. She's more just like, get your paw out of my mouth. I'm trying to eat.
Almost like siblings, almost.
Yeah. At this point, that's and they do fight from time to time, but for an alligator, their fights are very tame. Like if you were to see two gators fight in the wild, you are watching dinosaurs going at it. These guys are more like two brothers fighting over the final turkey leg on Thanksgiving. You know, they fight, but it's nothing too terrible.
Yeah. All right, cool. I'm good in here if you I'm good in here if y'all are.
Good. All right, we're done, buddy. Can you scoot back?
Well, I'm sure it's a lot of additional stress with me being in here.
Right, because I'm worried about my daughter, I'm worried about the gators, worried a little bit about me, but mostly worried about my guest in here.
Am I good to go?
You're good. Yeah, you can go. I'm just gonna stand in front of Chewy in case he tries anything.
All right, I am out of the cage.
So far, so good.
It was worth the trip just for that.
There we go. Good boys. Thank you for being so good. Good job, guys. Thank you. I love you guys. Good boys. Good job. Thank you.
So the clicker is a positive affirmation?
The clicker, yes, it's a positive reinforcement. It's pretty common in the training world. Mm-hmm. I've heard of people clicker training chickens before. You can do it with humans. So if you're a wife and you want to help teach your husband something, get some training books.
I might have to edit that part out. my wife's been struggling with me.
Oh yeah, she's like, if you see her with a clicker, you're like, oh no. But you get a lot. She'll probably give you a lot of chocolate treats in the meantime.
That definitely works for me.
So yeah.
So what's one thing that you wish everyone would know about alligators that would it'd make your day if everyone started doing one thing in regards to alligators?
Okay, the one thing I would truly say more than anything is not feeding alligators in the wild. Because like you just saw how those alligators, they're not afraid of me at all. Once you feed a gator, they lose that natural fear, and then it's just a huge snowball effect. Because almost every bite or attack on a human, you'll see the news crew interview neighbors, and they're like, that gator was so nice, we used to feed it tuna fish all the time. And then I'm like, ding ding, that's why the gator attacked. So what happens when you feed an alligator, next day a nice old lady is walking her dog, and all of a sudden the dog or the young lady will be fine for the gator. He's like, I don't care, I'll take either. So then all of a sudden now a family is missing their mom or grandma and they're not coming back. Stories go out on the news, everybody starts hating gators, they start killing gators, everyone's afraid. So now the gators don't win, the humans don't win, no one wins when you feed wild alligators. So it's not the most interesting thing to learn about alligators, but if less people fed them, there would be a lot less accidents and everyone would get along better.
It's true. So thank you so much, Gator Crusader.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. We all survived.
Yep, I made it out all right.
Yeah, we're all in one piece, so that's about as good as it can get.
So anything you want to cover, anything before we leave?
Oh, sure. I got a couple things. A lot of what I'm doing now is on an app called UpLive. So go to your app section, hit UpLive, then look for the Gator Crusader. I actually live stream from inside the gator pen because my YouTube videos are super cool, But you also know if I've got a hot dog in my mouth, I'm not going to upload me getting my face ripped off onto YouTube. But if you're watching it live streaming, you have no idea what's going to happen. Am I going to chicken out and run away when the gator comes at me? Is the hot dog going to get bitten out perfectly? Is he going to grab my face? When you're watching it on a live stream, there's no telling what's going to happen. So once again, up live, look for the Gator Crusader. And I live stream just about every day. And I recently moved from Orlando over here to my hometown, which is the Tampa Bay area. I was born in the St. Pete Clearwater area, so this is where I was born and raised. And I've recently spent most of my days in Orlando doing things with alligators, but I just recently came back to my hometown because I wanted to help out the sanctuary. And I will always stay at the sanctuary, but I'm also looking for any other kind of theme park like Clearwater Aquarium. Are you listening?
Hint, hint.
I think this would be, a good little addition, because when people come to Florida, they want to see alligators. So they could see the cool dolphin from the movie Winter, and they could see the Gator Crusader. But I'm also anything out there, because at the sanctuary, it's more of a volunteer thing, but I have 20 years professional experience with gators. I would love to bring my alligator excitement to like a Busch Gardens, a Lowry Park Zoo, or just about anything out there. So if anybody's looking for something new, I actually train the alligators, do things that nobody else does with gators.
Alrighty. Well, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been a pleasure. And so Gator Crusader, all of the information is going to be in the show notes. Check it out.
All right, thanks, guys.
So I'd like to thank Michael Wilmer, the Gator Crusader, for taking the time and ensuring my safety inside of the gator pen. Definitely a lot of fun. Be sure to go out to the Suncoast Primate Sanctuary. Bunch of great folks out there. I'm going to be trying to interview the owner of that as well. Just the stories seem really interesting to me, and I would love to get some additional information and share that with y'all as well. But yeah, it's located out in the Palm Harbor area. We're going to have the information in the show notes. Just open that up and click there. Our app should be live by the time you hear this, so please be sure to share that with friends and families, loved ones. All you got to do, if you got an iPhone, just go to the App Store to look for Great Things Tampa Bay. We should pop up there at the top. If you got an Android phone, just go to Google Play. And again, Great Things Tampa Bay, we will be there. Coming up next, we got segment 2, Your Facts. Manhattan's 4 last remaining phone booths are currently free of charge, and they are in the process of replacing 4,500 old phone booths with Wi-Fi hotspots in an attempt to create the largest and fastest municipal Wi-Fi network in the world. Suck it, 9X. So for those of you that don't know, 9X is the old New York telephone company that was merged into Verizon back in the day. It's old. It's an old phone nerd thing. Sorry. Today's episode is brought to you by Happiest Doulas. Hospital childbirth classes teach you how to be a good patient for them. Here in Tampa, the Happiest Doulas is an independently owned agency preparing soon-to-be parents with safe strategies for labor and delivery at the hospital. With a class taught by the Happiest Doulas, you'll learn how to advocate for yourself to get evidence-based care and reduce your C-section risk. Speaking of, have you checked the C-section rate at your hospital yet? Learn insider tips to access all available options for your baby's birthday and how to improve your overall satisfaction with the labor experience. Reserve your seats today in a group childbirth class or schedule a private in-home lesson to know what to expect on Labor Day. Save 5% off any class or in-home session with the code HAPPY5 at happiestdoulas.com. Hurry, demand is high and space is limited. Register now at happiestdoulas.com. That's happiest doulas, DOULAS, to save 5% off the fee of any newborn care class, private prenatal lesson, or group series. Again, that promo code is HAPPY5, HAPPY 5. The Happiest Doulas, an experience of a lifetime. And we will have links to that as well as the promo code in the show notes. So today, playing us out, we got a pretty rockin' tune from Comin' Home the Band, and this one's called Rainin'. We'll have some information on them in the show notes as well if you'd like to catch them at a show around town, buy a CD or anything. Again, Comin' Home the Band, and this one's pretty good.